Hello and welcome to the demo of LiveTiles Directory. My name is Nick Ramaker. I am the CMO at LiveTiles and I'm joined by Jason Alessi, our product specialist. And today I just want to make a quick note about Active Directory. It's one of those things, obviously, is a must-have for every organization for their identity of their employees across many applications and across essentially the tech stack. But it's also one of those things that can quite often be treated like a nice to have with inaccurate data. And when data of our employees becomes inaccurate or it's not kept up to date properly using proper processes, you really do miss the benefits that come out of a healthy Active Directory, such as personalization and targeting of employee workplace experiences. And you can't add those smarts and all those wonderful things that are tertiary to a really good, healthy, robust Active Directory. So we're going to show you LiveTiles Directory today and how you can really ensure that your Active Directory is singing. So Jason, give us a quick, in a nutshell, description of what LiveTiles Directory is.
Yeah, absolutely. At the core, LiveTiles Directory is a user profile management tool. It uses AI and bot technology to automate the collection of profile information. The service supports both online and hybrid environments. So that's straight M365 environments and those on-prem synced up to M365 as well. So it becomes an intermediary between the users and Active Directory / Azure Active Directory. Um, and it works by monitoring your AD or your AAD to identify what attributes are missing or incorrect. So as you mentioned, it's vital to keep the health of AD up to date. Like you said, if you're using AD for personalization, for targeting, if you have workflows attached to profile information, so important workflows that are using that information. If that data is missing or incorrect, those workflows won't run or they will fail. And essentially, once it starts to scan the AD or AAD for that missing and incorrect data, users are then notified to make the required updates to their profile. And this is done all through the service that we'll be showing throughout this demo. But as an end user, they can actually now do these updates or facilitate these updates with their profile through various methods, through integration points now that we have with the application. So it can be done through web app on desktop or mobile. It can be done through Microsoft Teams and SharePoint. So we actually now enable users different channels to be able to access this information.
Great. Okay. So how easy is this to install? Are there options to turn it on and off? And say how I have an Active Directory that's an absolute mess. It's very chaotic. How do I know where to start and how does Directory help me with this?
Yeah, so very easy to install. If you're looking at a straight online environment, the onboarding process is very seamless. It's basically a walkthrough. Once you configure up the application and you sync it to and you grant consent to your Active Directory, away you go. For the on-prem environment, the hybrid environments, there's a little bit more to do. We use an agent that gets installed on the AD server on-prem that talks to our cloud service. So definitely not complex, just a few extra steps to do that. And once it is installed, immediately you'll see on my screen here that we have these health trends. So it's immediately looking at your AD and not trying to understand what sort of shape it's in. And if we scroll down, we'll see a list of all of the attributes that AD exposes to our service and a completion rate. So you'll see here with our environment that we're showing, we have some pretty good 100% completions, but there are some there that need to be worked on as well. And what we can actually do here, we can build a report. So you'll see on this report here, we actually have the average health enabled as well as country. So we can actually start to just add more of these fields to the report, and we can see over a period of time what the shape is looking like. So When you first install, it's probably going to be just a flat line because the service hasn't been running. But this is really helpful to use when you've implemented directory, and you want to start gauging what the uptake is like. So if we start implementing a new set of rules with the product over a given period of time, we would want to see those completion rates rise. And so it's a really great way to see, basically the return on investment. And you definitely will start to see that rise in attribute health as well. Really good to start to understand as well, just seeing these attributes outputted like this. Do we need these attributes? Are they relevant to the organization? And if they're not, maybe we can do something about those as well. And it's probably why they're at 0% or very low percent, because they are not relevant. Another really great important feature when implementing LiveTiles Directory is the 3 sets of run modes. So you'll see here we have analyze, pilot, and run. So initially, when we implement LiveTiles Directory, we want it in analyze mode, and that's just when we're taking a snapshot of what the health looks like through AD or AAD. Once we start to figure out a plan and start to formulate, okay, these are the attributes we want to target, these are really our focus points, we need to bring these back up to 100% completion is always the goal, and we want these to be up to date as well. So we don't want old stale data here. Then we can put it into pilot mode, and pilot mode allows us to put together a pilot team. So let's test our strategy and our implementation with a small team before we go gung-ho and deploy to the whole organization. Once we are satisfied with the pilot team and we think we're ready to go live and deploy globally, or deploy to prod, basically, we chuck it into run mode. And these can be configured back and forth, so we can go back to pilot if we want to test something new, and we can go back to analyze. But once you're in run, the service is running behind the scenes and doing its thing. It's very quiet and does its job very well.
Fantastic. So I get a good health check overview of my Active Directory through these tools. So this is great to see, Jace. One of the things around the attributes, and I'll give you a little example here. Particularly during the period of COVID, there were a lot of things we wanted to do at LiveTiles to ensure the well-being of our staff, to encourage them, to lift morale. One of the things we did recently is we sent out a gift pack to all our employees across a number of geographic locations. It required me to understand a few things about each employee. Was their t-shirt size, because we had a really cool new company t-shirt, shoe size, because we actually had some customized shoes made for each employee. How does this work? Are these attributes configurable? How malleable is the LiveTiles Directory product in that sense?
Very malleable. So if we jump into attributes, this is basically the core. This is, the nucleus of what we are trying to configure and to make it better, essentially. And absolutely, we can do those things that you just mentioned. So you see here in this table form, it's all the attributes exposed from Active Directory. We've taken that and we've implemented a range of new features to those attributes as well. So these are things like adding new attributes and creating new groups. So you'll see these gray banners. These are groupings, and this will show to users through their profile, which we'll touch on later on. So we actually start to group these attributes now. So like you just mentioned, we were doing a global kind of event with t-shirts and shoes. So we could create a new group, give it a name, and we could set those new attributes underneath. And we basically just create that new group through the UI. And we can then create new attributes that sit under it. We can move them up and down if we want to, and start to curate a more refined profile for our business. And we can also add new attributes as well. So basically here, it's any unused AD attribute that's being exposed through the service. We can basically take these, say fax number. We're not going to use faxes anymore. So we are just going to overwrite this field. Now, the internal name will remain fax number, but we actually will change the display name. We're going to call it t-shirt size, and we're going to leave it hyperbot and editable. And we'll touch on what this means later on regarding the hyperbot piece. But editable obviously means that our users can edit this field. Now, when we're talking profile data, it's one thing to fill out the field and the information. It's another thing to ensure accuracy. And whenever you just allow free text input, that always opens up for human error. They can import wrong data, they can make spelling mistakes, you name it. So through validation across our attributes, we can actually ensure that we can render these attributes in a more refined way. So if you want to ensure that users stick to certain answers, we can use the drop-down method here. And of course, we've just enabled a whole heap of more configurations here, allowing multiple choice. We can have multiple choice plus free typing, case sensitive. We can have the attribute cascade from another attribute as well. So we can link up these attributes, but we can just build in our options. So, we could say small, medium, and large, for example, right? So now those users only have those options to pick from. They can't, make mistakes or anything like that. So this is how one small step we can take to ensure correct information that is being inputted back into AD, and we are removing that human error. So we can save that, and we should have a new field now called T-shirt, and we're dropping that into the global event category. Now, what about existing and those more important attributes? You'll see, contact information, name, first name, everything like that, email. These are all, the vital attributes to the business to understand who our employees are, what they do, where they do it. So you see a lot of these are must contains, obviously meaning these are mandatory, and the user must fill out this attribute. And again, we'll touch on how we combat this with LiveTiles Directory for those users who ignore those fields. Some certain things we can do to get around that. So if I wanted to actually jump in and make changes to an existing field, let's go with job title. Again, you'll see hyperbot and editable, and this ranges down from editable to read only to hidden. So obviously hidden means we are not exposing that attribute to the users. Read only. Now this could be something like email address, that when you join the business, you get your email address, that becomes a read only field. So as a user, I can see it, but I can't edit it. This is typically managed by IT. So you'll get your email address, first name, last name, whatever the prefixes are, and that will remain so. Again, we can do more. We can add more validation. So, job title, if we wanted to add something like, again, a drop down, something that we have a prescribed list that you can't go ahead and just change that job title, for example. So this is where we can completely overhaul what's happening with attributes. We can hide unused ones. We can create new ones. We can create new groups. We can detail this down to the level that makes more sense to our organization, just not what Microsoft gives us through AD, but we've actually taken this information now, refined it, and made it more prescribed for us. So like you said, we've added t-shirt sizes, shoe sizes, other examples may be, what about some emergency stuff? We need next of kin information. We need emergency contact numbers. We need some information around skills and expertise. We have a large organization. I'm a project manager. I have to put a project team together. There's 10,000 people in the org. How do I find the right people for my team? Well, if we capture information like skills, expertise, certifications, all of this sort of stuff, that helps me refine my search down. And towards the end of this demonstration, we'll show how end users can actually benefit from all the work that's been done behind the scenes here.
Great stuff. So you already answered one of my questions, Jason, but I'll just repeat it just so that people see that there's an underline here. One of the questions I was going to ask you is, as the CMO of the company, what if I wanted to change my title to CEO and self-appointed myself? But you already said that there's some really good restrictions you can put in place for certain attributes. So you answered my question there. Thanks for that. Next question I have is, tell me more about the AI parts of this product, and how you automate the collection of some of this data.
Yeah, absolutely. And you just raised a valid point. So I might just double back one step before we get into the AI service and just elaborate a little bit more on the control over the attributes. And you made a really good point there about changing your title to CEO and using the drop down and prescribed inputs is one way to do it. But we actually also have approvals built into the product too. So let's say we wanted to leave the job title field open and leave it free text and allow our employees to add their own title in. We can go to the auto approval section and we can turn auto approve on and off. So for job title, we can actually turn auto approve off, meaning that it needs to go through an approval stage. And what we can actually prescribe here are a set of approvers. You'll see here we've got two people managing all attributes, and we can add more users, but we can also add managers as well. So we can have certain people approve and deny specific attributes, or we can have that information just lead up to your manager. So if you were to go in and try and change your job title to CEO, you would probably have Carl saying denied, denied, denied. And through the timings, we can control when managers or whoever the approvers are receive that information. So we can have it daily, we can have it immediately. Best practice is to probably set it to daily in the beginning when you've got a large group of people making changes. It can kind of be a daily roll up that I can see, these are all the approvals I need to do today. Then you could probably switch back to immediately when things start to settle down and profiles are quite full. So this is just another level of us to ensure control and ensure that new data being put into AD is correct and up to date. So it can be, quite a fine line. You don't want to obviously impose all attributes with approvals, but the most important ones, like job title, for example, and manager and reporting lines and everything like that, they should be scrutinized a lot more closer. Now, jumping back into the AI service, like you mentioned, that automates this collection of data. So we've done all of this great stuff, and you saw before Hyperbot and Editable on the attribute. So what is Hyperbot? Hyperbot is the AI service that we have implemented into the product. And you can give your Hyperbot a name to give it a personality. Ours is called Zed. And he will contact you through email based on what's going on with your profile. And what Zed will do, or what the Hyperbot will do, is he will email you based on the type of personality that you guys have set on your Hyperbot, and we can control this through different templates. So you can have a more relaxed approach, a more standard, a more formal. And as you scroll through these different personalities, the templates will change below. And what the Hyperbot will do, it will make a first attempt saying, hello. It can intro itself for the first attempt. This is really good for people who have just joined the company. You've created a profile for them in Active Directory. They're new. The first email they're going to get from the Hyperbot should be a welcoming one and should give them some background on what it does and what it's looking for. And here, the Hyperbot is looking for more information from you to fill out your profile. And you, as an owner of the directory in your environment, can curate these templates to your liking. And at the core of it, it's asking, these are missing attributes. Please come and fill them out. It will, through the email, redirect you to the profile management in the web app. You can do everything through there. It will then also allow you to set templates for reminders. So if they haven't filled all of the information out the first time, the reminders will be sent out. There is also a template for update rejected. So we just touched on approvals. If Nick, Carl, in your situation, denies your title change to CEO, you will receive an email saying that that update has been rejected. And then profile validation as well. So this is something that you can set for sporadic check-ins. It could be, a month or two, or whenever that may be, saying, hey, just checking in, just want to make sure that your profile information is still up to date. Can you please review it? Something might have changed between that time that the service didn't know about. You might have, changed your mobile number, or you might have changed, you might have traveled or moved interstate and changed offices, whatever that may be. So this is important to just, the Hyperbot stays front of mind for that user, just to let them know, hey, I'm still here. Let's keep going. Let's get this profile information up to date if required. Now we can curate the frequency. This can come every day, every other day, or weekly. I know a lot of organizations who are already using LiveTiles Directory love it to be daily. Just keep hounding employees, get your information up to date, get your information up to date. If they get annoyed, they keep getting that email. It's simple. Just fill out your profile and that email will stop coming. And then you can set the attempts. So most often it's always on, it's on unlimited. And then the validation. So here we've got it scheduled for monthly in this environment. And just a little nifty feature in do not disturb there. So if we have a few people in the organization, maybe in the C-suite, who don't want to be bothered, we can actually just whitelist these people.
Fantastic. Well, talking of the end user, what's the experience like for them? How does this product interface with me as an end user?
Yeah. So on the other side of the coin, really, we've done all this great work in the back end of directory now. We've scanned out AD, we've got health updates, we've made attribute changes, we've formulated a plan. Now, how do we get all of this out to our users, to our employees? So we turn Hyperbot on, all our attributes are configured, we've got approvals set, we're ready to go. That Hyperbot is going to start emailing employees, and it's going to look something like this. It's pulled the template, and if it's the first email to go out that first time, it's going to pull that first attempt template. In here, it's telling me that mobile phone and department requires action. So they must be empty fields on my profile. And this can range through all of the attributes that you've exposed. So that Hyperbot and editable, that's going to be required from me. Now, some of those may be hidden as well, but as an end user, I will get this email, whether I'm on desktop, whether on mobile. The service runs on both experiences, and simply just clicking that update profile button. Now you can curate that button to say whatever you like as well, but it's going to launch me into the profile manager here. And you'll see there that my mobile phone field is a mandatory, and I have not filled it out. You'll also notice that that new category of global event and t-shirt has been added as well. And it doesn't have that red exclamation mark because it is not a mandatory field, but it is Hyperbot and editable. Now, if this was something that, a campaign that marketing or HR were running and it was vital that they capture that information, you would make that a mandatory field so that the employee keeps getting prompted to fill that out. I can manage any of these categories here by clicking the pen or pencil icon, and I can make those changes. So if I choose not to fill out mobile phone here, I'm going to keep getting prompted until I do. You'll notice that if I jump back out, I have a completion around my profile image. And ideally, we want to get to that 100%. We have a really nifty feature as well running on the profile image as well. It's basically some AI smarts with image recognition. And I won't show it now because I don't have any images handy. But if you try to upload an image that the service does not recognize a single human face, it will get rejected. So if you try to upload an image of a cat or a dog or a cartoon or even a photo of a group of people, it will not recognize the human face from being animals, or B, recognize too many human faces and reject that. And so while we can't yet, I'll say yet, maybe one day we will, have the service recognize if it's actually you or not, we can take a few extra steps to ensure that people are, making the effort to upload a picture of themselves, because ultimately when you search for someone in an organization, that's, one of the first things you see is their profile image and their name and maybe their title. So vitally important to get the profile image up to date, as well as all that other information.
Fantastic. Just a quick one before I forget this, Jace. I noticed on that email back there, you've got a little bit of a banner there. How customizable is it from a branding perspective?
Yeah, very customizable. So that is something that I added into my email chain, and that is through the branding feature. So through the branding feature, we actually can rebrand the profile page. Now this is this page here that we're seeing. I added the purple banner. I added LiveTiles Directory logo. Organizations can change that to their liking. They can make it branded on their style guide, their own logos, changing the colors of the text, the banner, everything like that. And they can also create their own email header image. So here I've created one for LiveTiles Directory. Here, any organization who implements this into an environment can create their own. And that's just to give it a bit of, a more welcoming sense that this is, comms coming from our organization. This is us, and allows it to be much more on brand for them. Other than the profile manager for the end users, what else can we actually extract from this in terms of feature sets? So we've made quite a lot of mention to directory search. So how can I actually now utilize all of this new information that's been added to the business in a way of profile information? And we can definitely now search on these users. So you'll see here in the web application, we have directory search, we have built-in filtering, we have sorting, and now we can actually curate our searches down to any of this information that we're starting to capture. So really narrow that search down. Vitally important here if you're searching a large user base of thousands of people, or we can just use the search up the top here. I'm doing a search on LiveTiles, so that's looking for that attribute across all of the profiles, and bringing back a set of results. In card view, I can switch down to list view as well if I want to narrow this down. I can export results into CSV, and I can click on these profiles to view these users. So like I mentioned before, I'm a project manager. I need to put a project team together. This is a great way to start finding the right people if I'm doing searches on skills, certifications, anything like that. Another great feature that gets a lot of use is our org chart, our dynamic org chart that gets built dynamically based off a certain attribute. So if I jump back into a profile card, you'll see here that everyone has a manager field. Now, again, this is probably something, no, actually, this is definitely something you would set approvals for, because if you get the reporting lines wrong, the org chart is going to be built wrong. So when you input your manager and the people field, that will go for approval. Once it gets approved, we will actually now see an org chart being built out. So if we will click on Casey Evans' view user in org chart, we will see where she sits in the line of the organization. So she reports to Gus Bradley reports to Philip Jackson, and Louis Odom reports to Casey Evans. And then we can actually start to click on anyone else in here to see what the reporting lines are like as well. So if we click on Chief Executive Officer Philip Jackson, we'll see who his reports are. And then we can keep clicking down the line to see, all of the other reports. Now, this also extends, as I mentioned in the opening, to other platforms as well. So this can definitely be integrated into one of our main integrations being SharePoint. It's also available through MS Teams. So we're actually providing different channels for users to consume this information. So if we were to jump into SharePoint, we can see the employee directory working through the LiveTiles Everywhere panel. So if you don't want to use the web application, you want to keep using it through SharePoint, absolutely. Here we have it in the LiveTiles Everywhere panel because it's easily accessible. It doesn't matter where I am in the intranet. I slide it out, I make my search, I slide it back in. The org chart can actually be also displayed on a large page too. So here we have a full snapshot from CEO down. Now we show 2 levels by default, but we'll also see those numbers on the profile images. Now the branding here can also be changed. It doesn't have to be purple. This can all be curated in the web part settings, but we can actually start to now see this dynamically built org chart. And this is all done based off of that manager field from those profiles. So, another reason, as we mentioned, to ensure that the profile data is accurate, because we don't want an org chart being published to the business that's incorrect. And I quite often hear when I talk to customers and organizations interested, they say, oh, we still manage our org chart in a PDF or a Word doc, and someone from HR just gets an email saying this person's left or this person's being promoted or reporting lines have changed, and they're managing that manually still. So, out with the old, in with the new. Let LiveTiles Directory manage that dynamically for you. All that is required is that you ensure that some good governance is put onto that manager field through the profile management, and let the service do the rest of the work. And the same goes for Microsoft Teams as well. With our LiveTiles Everywhere panel working in Teams, we have the same experience. So, if we want to bring this into Teams, and you're using LiveTiles Everywhere, put it in the panel, have it all laid out. Look how easy it is. I've got my search, I've got my results. The same goes for the org chart. I can create another tab and have that org chart in there as well. So I hope that was thorough enough to give the audience an insight into what LiveTiles Directory is and how it works and what it does. And just to reiterate, it is that essential middleman, really, between Active Directory and the end user, and ensuring that, one, we get attribute health back to where it should be, and all of those missing attributes become filled out, and we are 100% across the board, and we're ensuring that our identity management is on track. And equally as important, we've done the work, we've deployed LiveTiles Directory, we've got it back to where it should be, but now the service is maintaining that health. It's not going to let it go back to that state that it was in. It's going to get it to 100% or as close as we can, and maintain that for the future.
Well, thanks a lot, Jace. That was a great overview of LiveTiles Directory. And I would encourage anyone watching this, if you're interested in a personalized demo and how this could be installed into your environment, it's a very easy install. It's a very nifty product and very affordable at the same time. I would encourage you to fill out the form on this page and get in touch with us. We'll absolutely set something up for you, and absolutely will. Can we just cut this bit here? Cut.
Yeah. All right.
All right. Let's go. I'm going to do another
1 minute 5
outro. Another outro. Okay.
Okay.
Thanks. 5, 4, 3, 2. Thanks. That was fantastic, Jace. Great overview of the product, and just so many fantastic features that can be realized through LiveTiles Directory. I personally use that org chart visual all the time. As Jay said, it's not static; it's dynamic. So it's you get the best version of it every time you open it up. As long as all those things are happening in the background, you can be assured that that's the most accurate org chart. No one's having to go in and manually change it or anything like that. So if you'd like to try this out, please do fill out the form, get in touch with us. We'll set up a time to meet with you and give you even a deeper dive into this product. Again, it's nifty, easy to install, and very affordable. So thanks again for watching, and we'll see you next time.